Welcome everybody to Brutally Honest Reviews, only on the Brutally Honest Network. This week we are back for another installment of Brutally Honest Reviews, and we are reviewing Vice. And I'm here with Rob this week and Steve, and he's kind of our resident political movie.
I did the front runner, and now I'm doing this.
He
held
political office once.
I was elected to office in the town of Stoughton, Massachusetts.
Were you impeached?
Had to resign in disgrace, but either way, had the office.
Wait, you had to resign?
Because I moved to Braintree.
Too many sexual misconduct lawsuits?
That's what they say.
All right. Well, glad to have you back.
Thank you.
And, on the right side of the law, if you know what I mean.
We'll see. See how the podcast goes.
All right. So, Vice is essentially a movie about Dick Cheney. That's pretty much flat out what they set to do. Although their cast is star-studded, the entire time they've stuck to, trying to stick to Dick Cheney. Where I thought Sam Rockwell did amazing in this movie as George W., as always, but the main focus was Dick Cheney. So we only saw maybe 15 minutes of screen time with him. But I want to go into I don't want to go into anything too crazy yet. So let's give it over to Rob for first thoughts.
I thought the movie in itself was just all right. I liked all of the characters a lot more than I liked the movie, I'll say. Christian Bale as Dick Cheney was a lot better than I thought he'd be. Sam Rockwell was phenomenal as George Bush. He had the mannerisms down, the voice. And Sam Rockwell's charismatic as hell.
Yeah.
He was probably my favorite character in it. Amy Adams was really good in it. I don't know too much about his wife, but Donald Rumsfeld, it's alright, but Steve Carell's just got that voice that's always going to be Steve Carell to me.
Yeah.
So that took me out of the story a little bit, but
yeah.
Overall, I thought the movie was alright. Ran long, slow in parts, but all the characters were well acted, well performed, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought all the actors did a fantastic job. Once again, I can't say enough, Sam Rockwell is the hidden gem in American film.
One of the more underrated actors of our generation.
Absolutely.
He is. And he's in everything, and he always outperforms everyone. And I'm not even exaggerating. He really does outperform a lot. And whenever he's in a film, he's just underused, I feel like. I don't know, maybe because of the way he looks for some reason.
I feel like he could go to a grocery store and nobody would know who he is, but he's in all these movies, he's in TV shows.
And he's fantastic.
And he's the best actor, one of the best actors working there. I don't know, I feel like most people, your average person on the street, they know who Ryan Gosling is. They don't know who Sam Rockwell is, which I would like. If I were an actor, you're in all the movies and stuff, you're doing great, everybody respects you, but you can also go get a burger. I don't know.
I think you're probably spot on, because there's another actor who looks exactly like he could be Dan Stevens looks exactly not exactly but he looks it's the same look that Sam Rockwell does. He's an up and coming actor. He's in The Apostle, which we'll be reviewing later this week. He's in Legion. He's in The Guest. He's in.
I think he played the Beast in Beauty and the Beast.
He played the Beast in the new Beauty and the Beast. So Dan Stevens is up and coming, but he's the same look that he's always when you see him, it's almost he could blend in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Christian Bale did amazing as Dick Cheney. I was looking the entire movie for somewhere to judge his portrayal, and I really couldn't. It was very well done. I mean, I don't know Dick Cheney, but from what I've seen in political broadcasts, from what I've seen on TV, from what I've seen in other things and heard and etc., it looks exactly like him, sounds exactly like him, mannerisms exactly like him. Amy Adams did amazing as his wife. I thought she was a very strong female character in this one, as she apparently also was in real life. I don't know too much about politics. Steve Carell, like you said, I did kind of it took me out when I heard his voice, but I feel like the makeup in this, for one, was incredible.
Oh yeah.
I can't even hold a candle to how good this makeup was. I mean, I understand every day they were kind of they go to set and they're all right, today what kind of Christian Bale are we doing? Oh, we're doing 70-year-old Christian Bale.
Yeah, even the subtle aging makeup.
He's
Like
very
went
good.
5 years from then, and then present day.
Yeah.
Slight little tweaks, like a little bit of liver spots and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's all really well done.
Yeah, and then the rest of the cabinet too, like Karl Rove and Colin Powell, and they were all fantastic. And the guy who plays his, oh God, they changed roles so much in this movie, but like political roles.
Yeah.
But like the one I loved the most was, well, not loved the most, but I'm enjoying seeing him in other things, is the guy who played Libby.
Yeah, he was really good. I forget the actor's name, but
I do too. He's the guy who plays. If anybody's seen Jim Carrey's Kidding, he plays Pete, the stepdad.
Was he on Weeds?
Yeah, he was
Okay,
in Weeds.
yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in Weeds. I don't want to be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's on Weeds.
Like the brother-in-law or something?
Yeah, he's like the weird brother-in-law.
Yeah.
That guy.
Okay, yeah, I know
Kind
what
of
you're
just
talking
shows
about.
up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like let me get back to the writing in this was fantastic. The editing was fantastic. The acting was fantastic. The cinematography was fantastic. The problem I had with this was really just the length of it, and also when you consider that the trailer was the trailer is like an entire thing you can get into. Like the trailer was edited very comedically, almost seeming like it was like a comedy, which it clearly wasn't. It's very far from a comedy, and they're showing like all these different like horrific war images. The Abu Ghraib prison.
I think you
photo.
could classify this as like a dark comedy. Like almost like a Fargo, 3 Billboards, something like that.
But
it's pretty close to a dark comedy.
But it wasn't though. Like it wasn't a dark comedy at all though. Like if you think like every time you laughed in the movie,
I don't think you were supposed to laugh.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just the mannerisms or like what we know after
Yeah.
that happened, or like what we know about the whole situation. It's not funny. It's funny because it's like, oh, this fucking guy.
Yeah. Piece of shit.
yeah, it kind of felt like it didn't know where to go, like whether it wanted to be a comedy.
Yeah.
And I guess he edited a ton out, which is
Now, do you-
surprising to me because it was so long.
Do you think that's because Dick Cheney is just that uninteresting? That there can't be a great movie made about him?
No.
Despite all the stellar performances and writing?
yeah.
No, this is. I mean, I'm sure you know. Do you know like all the backstory and everything to this?
I know a lot of it. I mean, I learned some stuff from this movie. This is one where I was, I was really looking forward to this movie. I loved the trailer and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was pretty disappointed with it, and I agree with you guys. The cast was awesome, and I think it was like the most redeeming part of it. I really think kind of like all the pieces were there. I'm a big Adam McKay fan. I feel like it didn't come together from an execution standpoint. I said to my girlfriend after the movie, like, you could have trimmed 40 minutes off of this movie.
Oh yeah.
And it would have been fine. And even, I don't know, it was like looking at I don't know the exact length of the movie. I feel like it was
It felt long.
I felt like it was like a 2-hour movie maybe. It felt like a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
It felt like the filmmakers got way too into the backstory.
Yeah.
And they didn't know that they should have cut things.
Yeah.
Because like if you spiral and you delve into that backstory, and then you go and recreate something that is what I feel like was very authentic.
Yeah.
I feel like the filmmakers themselves were having more fun with it than they realized the viewers would.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Like when they were in bed with the Shakespeare going back and forth. I thought that was a real like filmmaker thing. I didn't like that scene.
I didn't either.
It's like, and it dragged on, and like, why is this here?
Because of the way he speaks?
Yeah, that would, I feel like a part was like we're supposed to laugh at,
So-
but it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry. The parts that I found were funny was every time he was getting ready to have a heart attack.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It
that
was
was
just
good.
like, I think I need to go to the hospital. And then any scene with George Bush in it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Sam Rockwell is just hilarious.
yeah. He
They should have
nailed that.
focused more on his stint as vice president and less on his rise to fame or rise to glory. Because, I mean, it was slow, dragged on, kind of boring. No one really cared.
I agree.
And they did rush through as vice president.
Yeah,
too.
it was probably only like, what, the last 20, 30 minutes of the movie?
And the movie's called
If
Vice.
that.
Yeah, it played like a History Channel special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For half of it.
Yeah.
For 3/4 of it, and then it got into the real stuff that everybody cared about, and then it skimmed over most of the last 5-10 years.
Yeah, and then Barack Obama was just sandwiched into like the end credits.
Yeah, no Clinton.
Yeah.
At all. Which
one short scene. One short
Clinton?
scene. Yeah.
I didn't see Clinton at all.
Hillary.
I
Right?
saw Hillary
Yeah.
on TV.
Yeah.
But I didn't see Bill's presidency.
Bill was before.
Yeah. No, they did.
Bush.
Yeah.
Like,
They could have at least mentioned.
you mean
something.
like after? Yeah.
He was before W.
Yeah.
So we went from
went
George H.W. to straight to Obama, right? Am I wrong?
Well, then they jumped to George W. Bush, but yeah, they kind of skipped because I think that's when he was at Halliburton and he was just sort of in the private sector.
Yeah, that's just where
So,
he said he was
I
the
guess they can-
CEO.
Yeah,
Kind
I
of
guess skip
glanced
over
over
that part.
whole 8 years and 15 seconds.
Yeah, see, that's so nobody knows his legitimate backstory. Now, unfortunately, we know him enough to know almost what his favorite color is. We didn't need to. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah, Dick Cheney's better as not being a person
yeah.
and just being a monster.
Mhm.
I also feel like it would have been funny had they not shown his family as much,
Yeah.
or that he even cared a little bit for his daughter who was a lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
Take all humanity away from him. Make it an
Just make him a
exaggerated
Terminator.
Exactly. Make it an exaggerated storytelling like Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
Well, then it would have been a straight comedy,
Exactly.
which is what the trailer
From
pursued.
Adam McKay, that's
Yeah.
what you'd expect.
So Adam McKay's behind. Do you know what he's behind? Because I didn't.
Every
look this
Will
up.
Ferrell movie
Yeah.
you've ever seen.
Yeah, because I saw when we were seeing Holmes and Watson, he was in the. He
Yep.
was a producer.
And he also works with Danny McBride quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure he did all his TV shows on HBO.
Yeah, I think
At least
barring,
co-written.
The Big Short, everything else is like a straight comedy.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, I think he wanted to do this a little more in that sort of Big Short vein, but I just don't think it really came together.
So he chewed out a lot. He chewed out a lot of stuff with Big Short, and he was like, "I'm going to do another political movie." And the studio was like, "All right, go get him." And,
Yeah.
And it seems like he's really just enjoying learning.
Yeah. I think that's a good way
I
to
mean,
put
I
it.
definitely wouldn't say that this was a bad movie.
No.
No, by
Just
far, no.
slow. It was too well acted to be a bad movie.
Yeah.
Well, if there's ever something as informative as if there's ever this is the closest you could get to actually knowing Dick Cheney. I feel like
Without actually knowing.
Yeah.
without actually knowing
Yeah.
him. And I know I'm saying that and I know it's a movie, but this movie took 2 hours and 21 minutes to portray this character. This is something that they wanted to get. Even the first 5 minutes, you see that the text come up is we did our best, we did our fucking best
Yeah.
to be as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
Which I believe them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they did a lot of
Because
research going
they
into
probably
this.
got no interviews or anything for this to get any help with it. So
No
Yeah.
way.
yeah, they did their best.
So let's talk about real quick the trailer. So the trailer was a comedy. So this is something that I hated initially because I hate going to a movie and seeing a trailer and going to the movie and it's a completely different thing.
Mm-hmm.
I started with that mentality, being these pieces of shit. But halfway through the movie, I was thinking about it. There's a lot of time to think. It's a very slow burn movie. So I'm thinking during the movie, this trailer that they came up with, it was straight comedy. They obviously knew that. They're not stupid people.
Mm-hmm.
They did all of this work. This is incredible work. What I deciphered from their decision to edit the trailer that way is that we have Donald Trump as our president.
Mm-hmm.
We're constantly berated by Facebook posts about politics, constantly. People don't want to see it. I see something political and it has turned me into the person where I'll literally I'll turn it off,
Switch off,
unfollow. I just don't want to hear it. It's so overdone. It's so overworked. So my thought is they wanted to put this out and edit it authentically, but the climate was not right for it. So to get people in the theaters, they had to show a comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know what? Yeah, all the fishing motifs throughout the whole movie where they had to lure people in.
Yep.
That's what they did to us.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right.
That's really what they did.
Very clever, Adam McKay.
I appreciated that as a filmmaker, just because, but because it was done right.
Yeah.
Because like I didn't feel like I was brought into a movie and given a shit film, like so many movies this year have given a great trailer and you end up with a shit movie.
Yeah, every good scene is in the trailer type of thing.
Yeah. But this one had a lot to offer, but like they had to get people in the theaters.
Yeah, that was definitely a marketing decision because marketing is the one that works on trailers. The director is not going to go and make the trailer. That was the marketers or the marketing division be like, oh, this is what we have. Are people going to go and see it? Probably not.
Right.
Let's try to get all the funniness into the trailer.
Let's put a lot of
Let them
Sam
think
Rockwell
it's
in the trailer.
non-stop laughs.
It was a great trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to an extent, like the movie did live up to probably about 60% of that.
Yeah.
humor.
I mean, all of George Bush's scenes were in that trailer.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
It's about,
Because it's everybody. It's all anybody knows.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So like they suckered you in with like the George Bush scenes, and then you get in there and you learn all about Dick Cheney. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But so this movie's obviously too long though.
Yeah.
You know, they could have trimmed.
I
40
think
minutes.
Steve's right. You know, about 40 minutes.
It seemed like it, yeah. I don't know the exact
A
amount.
good
but
30 to 40
there's,
minutes they could have cut out of this.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes.
This
I
could
thought
have
they
been
didn't
an
need.
HBO movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what
solid
they've done?
90 minutes.
Not enough of a budget.
Oh,
get all that cast.
no.
HBO's made
cast
some good political movies. They made one about the financial markets crashing, and they made one about the '08 election.
Yeah.
And I feel like this could have fit in there.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Rob. But yeah, I don't know, man. There's just a lot of stuff there. I did I laughed at when they had the mid-credit sequence. Like, all right, this is what it would have been like if he never got back into politics.
Yeah.
He would have lived this nice life.
Yeah.
But even
hated
that, did you really?
Let's talk about those moments because they.
There was a lot of those moments. Yeah.
I have a thought. Well, either I mean they might have been smart enough to know how much of a slow burn this was going to be, but I think that they shot probably about an hour and a half movie, and they were like, "This is just boring. People are going." So they went back and they shot some of these weird, almost hyper realistic scenes.
There were
that scene.
There was that one. There was the waiter one.
I loved that one.
I liked that one a lot.
Yeah. That one. So there's a scene. Let's talk about all of these.
Absolutely,
There's only three, right? There's three
that
main
I can
ones.
think of right now. Yeah.
There's Shakespeare. There's the Pete living happily. His
Yeah,
heart
like
is super healthy.
the mid credits.
And then there's the dining
dinner
scene.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first one we see is the Shakespeare soliloquy one.
Yeah, I did not like that scene.
Yeah, so like what this movie did is like this movie like was self-aware and knew that it was a little bit of a slow burn. So the writers or whoever was responsible wrote in these comedic scenes that were kind of like hyper realistic to like get like a couple of cheap laughs to keep like the slow burn going. So like the first one was right after a major accomplishment. Dick Cheney was laying with his wife in bed, and the narrator, which is an actor I love who is misused in this, I feel like.
Also in Fargo.
Yeah,
TV show.
He's amazing in that.
He's real good. He was in Friday Night Lights.
His name?
I'll think of it in my car on the way out of here.
All right, I'll tell our viewers to message you.
No, the next
directly.
podcast.
Steve
Yeah.
Labossiere, message him directly if you'd like to.
I'll tell you, or just look it up. But yeah, message me directly.
Message him. He got the beats.
His number is 781.
But so what they did in this scene is like they basically said, the narrator said, it was something along the lines of like, more or less, it might as well have been a Shakespeare soliloquy,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Like
And
we
then-
don't know what they said, but it's like Shakespeare sort of thing.
Yeah,
I think is yeah.
it was like they were fighting about him, whether or not he was gonna actually entertain the vice presidency with George W. And they tried to make a little bit more of an interesting conversation by making it in like Shakespeare soliloquy, which is like
Yeah.
it's it just didn't work.
It did the
I'm too dumb
opposite.
to know
It
if they actually pulled it from. I think they pulled it from like Richard the First or Third. I don't know if what it is, but I don't know, or if they just wrote it. And if they wrote it, I think they did a really good job sounding like a Shakespeare play. But again, I don't know if it's something that was real or not. But it just dragged on. I didn't like the scene in general. I didn't think it was a good direction to kind of take it in.
Yeah, it just didn't play.
It didn't. No.
And then following that, we have a where's it? We have the Shakespeare one. I want to get to the dinner one last because that was the one I actually.
I think that was chronologically last too. And then it was when he was deciding whether or not, after he was Secretary of Defense, whether he should run for president himself. It didn't poll well. It had to go into the fact
People
that his
hated
daughter was gay, and he said, like, basically, I'm not going to get into politics again. He went into the private sector. And then it was him and his family at their Virginia house, and it just sort of rolled credits. And I was like, all right. And like gave little subtitles like, his heart's healthier than ever. He competes in Ironman competitions. He's happy with his family and stuff. They raise dogs together. Like, how it all could have gone. And then after it runs some fake credits, he gets a phone call from the Bush campaign.
So, what did you think about that? Because I have two things to say about that. But what did you think about that?
I liked
thought it
that
was
scene.
clever.
I thought I chuckled, and I do kind of like the idea that, you know, it could have potentially gone another way if he wasn't such a power-hungry dickhead.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, there's a lot of rich jerks out there who maybe spend a little time in government and go to the private sector, but they're happy, they have families and whatever.
Yeah.
And I think his legacy would be way better if he just did that.
Yeah.
But
Probably
he didn't care.
probably wouldn't have shot his friend in the face.
Yeah, you never know.
I like how they did that scene. It was just like, hey,
Yeah, he didn't even give a shit
Yeah.
at that point.
and then his friend apologized.
So the credit scene. So I have two things to say about that credit scene. The first one being, I was caught off guard. So like I didn't know it was coming. So I was like, what?
Oh, did you actually think the movie was over?
For a second, I was thinking, I was like, oh, but
Yeah.
no George Bush at all yet.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing: is like the Iron Man competitions. One, I was like, that's a red flag. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
And the credits roll, and I'm like, well, I mean, I guess I have been here for almost an hour
It
and
felt
20
long,
minutes already.
yeah.
Like this could be the end, and then it wasn't. I was like, that.
That would be
I
the
was-
ultimate fake-out trailer.
Yeah, but we were there for an hour and 20
Yeah,
minutes.
and it felt like 2 hours already.
Yeah, and then they put on the fake credits, and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna leave. And then they're like, oh, it's not really the ending. I'm like, oh, okay.
We did miss an
Another
after
hour.
credit. Or I don't know if you did, Evan, but I know me and Rob missed an after credit scene too.
Oh, there was one?
There was, yeah.
I don't think I missed it. What was it?
God damn
I
it. this
guess it
isn't
was
a
one of the
Marvel
focus
movie.
groups from before, and then they started arguing and like fist fighting about politics.
Oh no, I missed it.
Yeah, and I was reading one review of the movie today. It's like they're like, that scene for them, they didn't like it already, and this sort of pushed them over the edge. Like, you know what, fuck this movie, because it's just like saying that you people are idiots. This is blah blah blah, and I don't know. It just seemed kind of condescending. I can see why they might have taken that tone with it. Again, I didn't see the scene personally. I just sort of read about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I get a little bit of it. Was very heavy-handed as a movie.
Well, it was a very strong political statement.
Yeah.
A bunch of them, actually, a ton of political statements.
Yeah, and it's something for me. Because I'm involved in politics. I generally know the story,
Yeah.
and I agree with them. Like, this is. I think it's important. Like, people talk about Trump. It's like he didn't come out of nowhere. There was a lot of stuff that built up to put our political system at a point where something like this could happen. But I, even towards the end, was like, all right, Jesus, like, yeah, forest fires. I know they cut. Yeah, it was
They
like
cut a lot into it.
I feel like it could have been a little more subtle. And
That seems like something they probably added in post-production.
yeah, that's what I got. That's what I figured too.
I liked it, to be honest, and the reason why I liked it is because I think that one of the biggest problems that, and I'm sure it's not just America, it's just all we see, but one of the biggest problems America has is the fact that 90% of the population, and it's probably an exaggeration, but 90% of the population, basically everybody who lives out of Massachusetts, I'm just kidding, 90% of the population, or maybe 80% of the population, is not educated in politics, doesn't understand how it works, doesn't understand what's going on in the world. All they can really resort to is what they know. And like, we can't blame them because they're not really educated in that. And it's like, who would want to be educated in politics when you're given what we're given, you know, and it's crazy. It's politics for me has, and like I know this is probably like going to be a controversial subject for you, but politics for me has always been taking advantage of people who don't know better.
Well, that's why it's important for people to participate. And this is and if any movie ever says like it's important to vote, this is because I guarantee I don't know what Al Gore's presidency would have been like, but it would not have been like what we saw in this movie, and by a margin of 600 votes or so. That's how it shifted, and you saw something similar in the most recent election. Right. And like when I did that sort of local town government thing, like my brother asked me like, why are you doing this? And it's like, well, it only works if we participate in it. And unfortunately, we stopped teaching civics in schools, and there's a lot of things like that where people, like I said, people aren't informed enough, and it's not, it's bad. It's bad for our society, and if people need to pay attention more so. And I think the movie sort of blamed people more so than it should have, at least with that. I think that's kind of what that review I read is getting towards that end of the credits scene. Like, it's like, you people are too dumb, you're focusing on all this other stuff, but it's kind of like, it's both.
So it's definitely waxing a little bit too much sociological and political, but people don't, like, people out west or like down south, people basically who are not in like a central trade hub of the United States. So anything central Massachusetts, anything in that area, people are uneducated. People don't have the money to be educated. The teachers in that area aren't generally educated as much as they should be. And people don't really live on a lot of money. So it's like people, like, even I see myself in Massachusetts being our rent is so goddamn high in the state. Everything is so expensive in the state. Like, I work 100-hour weeks and I still have to deal with bullshit. But like, people work so much that nobody has time to catch up on what's going on in the larger scale. Everybody's concerned about making their next paycheck, paying off their credit cards, etc. It's like almost like the government knows that we don't have the money to be able to follow the bigger picture, and everybody's kind of focused on their own, like, staying alive, staying healthy, keeping their family safe. And it's like, I feel like there's two sides of the coin. You can tell people that you need to be more responsible, you need to know what's going on in your country, but you can't say that and then tell people that they have to work for minimum wage, and that to live they have to afford basically double what they make.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's a good point, but there is a benefit too. Like, look, there are certain politicians, a lot of like the Democrats, who say like, we want to make the minimum wage higher, we want people to make more money.
Yeah.
So to say, like, people act like, they're both the same, blah blah blah. I don't even want to pay attention. I think that's a bad road to go down. Like, obviously, whatever your values are, that's what you should vote. But it's tough. Yeah, I mean, I work a ton. Commuting, traffic, sitting in 2 hours of traffic every day just to get to work.
Yeah.
Trying to do your hobbies and stuff. Yeah, it's tough, and it's tough to stay informed. I have a lot of sympathy to that.
Yeah. It's just there needs to be a better system. People in politics who are pulling, these Halliburton politicians, and I'm not trying to like get you in trouble and like wax political right now, but like these Halliburton politicians need to understand that everybody isn't working with their salaries. Everybody's working with what they have, and sometimes they need to work 100 hours a week if they need to get by, and like sometimes there's not time for that, and also like what you want to do in your life, you only have one life, and sometimes politics is not what they want to be interested in. Politics is a thing that I've always thought was something that you go into if you want to make a lot of money, and that's it. I never really thought there was anything to it, just because I've seen just who we've had. I mean, we've had horrible politicians for the most part. I don't want to get too much into detail because I honestly don't know I don't know too much about it, but I know the politicians that we do have are not in it for the general public's best interest. But I mean, what are you gonna do? Some are, some aren't. I'm not saying everybody's a bad person. A lot of it kind of weighs on the shoulders of Congress. I mean, it's kind of, the bigger picture of thing is they're the end-all be-all say.
Well, no, and that's one of the big focuses of this movie is Dick Cheney's push to get more power, to the executive branch so that they could do more, they could go to war with Iraq easier.
Yeah.
And you can see, he started out, I think it was during the Ford administration, this has been a very long-term goal of his.
Yeah.
And something that he wanted to push forward. And like I said towards the end of the movie, like that's still in place today. Though a lot of the stuff that the War Powers Act we're still acting on.
Yeah.
And Congress, they should have more power, and they don't use it.
Yeah.
Someone like Paul Ryan, like if you wanted to stand up to Trump, you could. He doesn't.
Yeah.
No.
It's kind of like a game. I mean, it really is. It becomes like a battle between like the people who are in it for themselves and the power, and like a battle for the people who are actually real politicians and want to push for people's rights. But it's kind of, it's the battle that goes on that we really don't see too much of.
Yeah.
We only see it when there's a major thing that happens, and even then it's kind of glazed over because the media is kind of the enemy. I mean, the media has kind of ruined everything, but is what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's stop talking about politics. Let's get to the third scene they had that kind of goes more of like the comedic side. Like this movie was heavy in the metaphors,
Big time.
So they had like this scene where it's Dick Cheney and his chief of staff all eating in a restaurant, and there are pictures on the wall of wolves eating meat and stuff. So it's like that heavy metaphor of like these are carnivores, like eating like eating up this power. And then the waiter comes over and is like, would you like Guantanamo Bay? Would you like XYZ? Would you like these things? Like all power based, like power moves, and like playing off of that.
Yeah.
And Dick Cheney says, yeah, I'll have all of them, obviously.
Just like specials at a restaurant. Yeah, I really like that scene.
Yeah.
Bring them all.
And like them laughing maniacally.
Yeah.
Just eat like just chewing like wolves on power. Just like that. It was crazy. But yeah, that scene was awesome. All the other two scenes, I just thought they kind of missed their mark a little bit, or caught me off guard.
What did you think about the narrator thing? Because I know you mentioned that you thought that actor, Jesse Plemons. Is his name.
Jesse Plemons?
Yes, and he was in Breaking Bad too.
Yeah, he's
well
awesome.
done.
That would have really
That
bothered
was
me.
well done.
But yeah, so I thought that because he's a really good actor. I liked the way he did it, but I thought that kind of missed the mark for me too. I get why they'd want to have a narrator, but then I don't know. The jury's still out for me on that one.
It wasn't needed.
Yeah.
That probably added an unnecessary 10 to 15 minutes to the movie. Going back and forth, what he was saying, setting up scenes, and then going into
twist.
his backstory.
Yeah, it was.
I kind of figured it was something like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of cheap twist, so I told you at the theater, I went to see this movie randomly. What are you pulling out?
I'm just kidding. I'm a bottle opener.
Is that a Dick Cheney membership?
NRA membership. Yeah.
Traitor. Just kidding. So I was talking about to you. I went to see this movie randomly. Like I tried to see this movie all week, and I just kind of keep pushing it back. And I go into the movie, and I do reserve my seat through MCD list, and I literally got the seat next to my dad, who was going to see the movie at that time.
That's so funny.
So weird.
Completely randomly. So that was
weird.
funny.
Yeah.
So he'll probably be watching this podcast for that reason.
That's great.
Giving it good old Terry critiques.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
I don't know yet. I should ask him.
All right.
I had a piece out. I thought Holmes and Watson started at 1.
Yeah.
And that movie went well over 1.
Yeah.
So I was freaking out. So I had to say bye to my dad in the theater. I was like, bye, I would go see Holmes and Watson. I'm glad I got to see.
I'm out.
That's my cheap twist.
I like that twist.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So let's talk about a couple more things before we round this out. The family dynamic, I think, is something to talk about. So I thought that I understand that you didn't want to see you wanted to more see the vice president stuff.
I like the family, but if you want to make him seem more inhuman, leave out the sympathy he has for his daughter. But then again,
but he wants power.
That also does set up at the end where he tells his other daughter, who's running for office, to fuck her and throw her
Yeah.
under the bus.
You have to humanize him in a 2-hour and 21-minute movie.
Yeah, but even
you know?
then, just thinking about what I just said, they dehumanize him later on. So they did what I wanted.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to have that to then build to later on when you kind of say, you know what, this guy doesn't.
He really is a piece of shit.
Yeah, because think about watching a 2-hour and 21-minute movie where the entire time he's like a hyper-realized Dick Cheney just seeking. I mean, it would be awesome, but it would be
If there's
unrealistic.
more
They'd have to
George
really
Bush
lean
in it.
into it. Yeah, like you said before, like a Terminator type of thing, or an Inglourious Bastards. You know.
It would be fun to see. It was kind of the trailer we were given.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I do have to appreciate this movie was interesting because like now because of the podcast I've been watching movies knowing what I'm like I've been grading them as I go.
Yeah.
So like this movie started at like a 5, and I went to a 6, and I went to an 8, I went back down to a 7.5, and back to a 7. It was just like it was a lot to take in. It was like a lot of information. It was a lot of scenes. I started to appreciate what they were doing more than I appreciated the movie. So like I appreciated their research and the editing and all the work they put into it over how good the movie was as a whole. Because I feel like when I left the movie, I feel like I learned a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I actually, I've only done a few of these with you, but I felt like you liked it a lot more than I thought you would like it.
Yeah.
Like if I was trying to think of like what I was going to grade it on the ride over here.
yeah.
I was like, oh shit, I gave Front Runner a 6.5, but I think that might have been too high, and then I don't know what.
Yeah,
this
I know
one.
what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah, I left this one pretty disappointed, but you've sold me on a lot of stuff. I'm like, all right, you know what, maybe it wasn't that bad.
Oh, that's good then.
Makes you almost want to rewatch it.
Yeah,
Catch other
maybe
things
when it
that you
comes on
may have
Netflix or
missed.
something.
Yeah.
And you know what? I did read he cut so much stuff out of this, like when he shot his friend that was supposed to be bigger. So maybe
I like how that
like a
was
director's
just
cut if you have a weekend to fucking give up and watch it. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if there's a little more of a comedy element to it or what the deal is, but
I felt like that scene didn't give enough foreplay.
no,
for that
it didn't.
chorus. Like I didn't understand. I know what happened. I mean, I saw when it happened. I saw it in the news, but I didn't see preluding up to. That's the only thing is like I didn't really learn enough about why he was doing.
I
why he shot
almost
him.
like that.
Oh, you think he was like coming loose, like dismantling? Maybe.
I almost like how there was just no setup. It seems like something he would
That's
kind
kind
of
of like it was in real life too.
happen and just wouldn't say anything about it because he's a prick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
You might have if
Almost
Joe
like
Biden
that.
never shot somebody. Like that would have been a media story for months. He would have had to resign.
We need
Joe
to.
Biden?
If he
No,
did,
imagine
I
if
would
he did.
assume it was an accident. That guy's a saint.
I'm a big fan of him. But
They need to
No,
bring
that's
back
not-
the Joe Biden memes.
Oh, the Joe Biden Obama
We'll see in
memes?
2020.
Yeah, they're the best.
yeah.
They're the best.
But yeah, I don't know. It's I see what they were doing there because like everybody kind of knows that story.
Yeah.
But it felt to me like oh shit, we really need to wrap this movie up.
Yeah.
So just sort of like splash cut to everything.
Well, the whole thing was drawn out, and then the ending was kind of rushed.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because they kind of just ended it.
yeah, they did.
It should have been VP heavy. Based on the trailer, it should have been VP heavy. Even like I know what they had to do to sell tickets, but like it should have been more of a VP heavy movie like the trailer was.
Yeah.
Like that's what the movie was marketed as. Despite them making it more comedic, it has nothing to do with the content. Like it should have been a little bit more aimed towards like the VP
Yeah.
and that stuff. Like that's where like all of the shit went down.
Yeah.
And
Like,
also,
all of
they
crazy
called the
shit.
movie Vice. I mean, I get you want to see how he arrived to that point, but the big focus for them, and really, I think the message that he was trying to get for like all the stuff that this guy did,
Yeah.
kind of set the stage for what's going on now, happened in that 8-year span, and I do feel like they rushed through it.
Yeah.
When we left the theater, my girlfriend was like, "Well, at least he's dead, right?" I'm like, no, Kristen, he's still alive.
Do you think they specifically waited for Dick Cheney to be dead and then maybe even George H.R. Bush to be dead before releasing this?
No, because it was well in production before
Yeah.
H.W. died, and Dick Cheney's still alive.
Yeah.
I think Kristen thought he was dead, but
I thought he was dead too.
nope, still alive.
What the fuck?
Yep.
The evil ones never die.
Yeah.
You're serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's
Yeah.
alive.
Oh, yeah.
Kristen,
old
I
is he?
believe I think he's 77.
Oh, really? He's young.
Yeah, younger than you'd think.
Wow. Even as Chris
Younger than a man
even-
that's had
Yeah.
3 heart attacks.
Yeah.
Because going back to Joe Biden, I think he's 76. But I mean,
See,
talk about somebody.
the trick is downplaying the heart attack. It's like when you have a heart attack, don't make it worse. Just go like, yeah, I could go to the hospital.
He's never. Yeah. Like,
People play up the heart attack. You know, you get too overworked and you end up
Yeah.
dying. You gotta underplay
Just
the heart
relax.
or you get some other narrator's heart, and then you just keep on trucking.
attack. Yeah. I do really. I think the narrator. So they needed a narrator, but he
Yeah.
didn't need to be physically there. I thought the twist was. I mean, I saw it coming a mile away. After you know, I mean, not a mile. I mean, I did see it a mile away, but an hour into the
Yeah,
movie,
I thought it was going to be like he died in a roadside bomb or something. Like I'm one of the kids that he sent to die.
Yeah.
And then when he's back home, he's like, all right, so he must give him the fucking heart or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This heart transplant victim.
So yeah, let's round this out then. So this monster of a movie, what do you give it for a rating, and what do you think? Final thoughts.
I think it would have been beneficial to have more of it trimmed out. Maybe play more along the comedic value that the trailer was going at.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hate the movie. Didn't really like it. But I liked all the performances in it and all the actors in it. Probably going to give it like a 6.
I gave it a 7. As I said, I went back and forth a bunch of times. I went from a 5 to an 8 to an 8.5 even, back down to I gave it a 7 initially. Not initially, at the end, I give it a 7. I thought the acting was incredible, cinematography was incredible, lighting was incredible, writing was incredible. My main problem, again, was the length of the movie. I would say cut 20 minutes out and you've got a solid film. It was up at the 2-hour marker. I was kind of like, I was pulling up my phone. I was like, I got another movie to see here. What do you think I got time for? I got to run a podcast here. I gave it a 7. It's definitely, like, if you were into politics, you got to see this movie. Absolutely. It was made for people who are into politics. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for an entertaining movie, I would still see it. I would see it. Just know that you're going to be getting a lot of propaganda. You're going to be getting a lot of backstory on Dick Cheney. It's basically a biopic. I mean, it is titled Vice.
Yeah.
You know,
It's pretty close to a biopic.
Yeah.
Biopic. That's what our friend says.
Biopic. Biopic.
Yeah, no.
Only 2 ways to say it.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
This was kind of a struggle for me because I was comparing it to what I graded Front Runner, which I gave a 6.5. I feel like this movie is a 6, but so the parts of this movie that I liked a lot more than anything I liked in Front Runner. Mm-hmm. But the parts that I disliked a lot more than anything in Front Runner. So I think I might have given that too high a grade. But
You
I left
can
this.
readjust. We'll let you.
Yeah, on the Barstool pizzas, you can't go back.
Well, we're not then.
So I would give Front Runner a 6, and this is 6.5, I think. Because I did like it a little more. It was so well acted, and you can't take away. I mean, the cast was so good, and I do feel like it had all the pieces. It just didn't quite come together right.
Yeah.
But it was if you're into politics, maybe don't see it in theaters. But if it comes on Netflix, definitely check it out. But yeah, it's going to be a little heavy-handed.
Here's a controversial question. Not really controversial. But here's a question. What would you have cut out?
I would have, I definitely focused more on the vice presidency. You do want to see where he came from. I actually might have put even a little bit more in like the Ford era, sort of after he became a real player, see how that kind of played out. And just a lot of the extra stuff, like the credit scene in the middle. I didn't hate that scene, but I would have cut that if you had to.
Yeah.
Maybe some of his earlier life. But I don't think, just looking at the length, I actually don't think it was a super long movie.
No,
I think it was
it just felt long.
It felt long.
It was a pacing
So
problem.
that's the stuff you want to cut out. Maybe
That's where I say maybe just Dick Cheney was a very boring man.
Yeah, maybe.
And no matter how you spin his life, it's not going to be interesting.
But he wasn't boring because he was like a
His
shark
life
on a
is.
wave.
Yeah.
He's like a boring shark.
And I like Steve
I don't
Carell.
know.
Like a
though.
toothless shark.
I thought it like portrayed someone who wants power, but isn't like you saw when he did his campaigns. Like he was shit. Like when he was like
Had to
locally-
actually
He was
get
never
up and
somebody who
speak.
could be really elected.
Yeah,
I
the
mean, he was elected to Congress.
He has to run
He
shit.
can never run. Yeah, like run for president. You know?
Right. His campaign was shit.
Yeah.
No one would vote for him.
He has like his
Yeah.
heart rate is like 50 over whatever.
Yeah.
Really super low heart rate. Like couldn't excite a lack of analogy here, but couldn't excite the least excitable person or the
Yeah.
most excitable person.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
You understand? What
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's very like bad at public appearances, but he's
Yeah.
also like very.
He has no
powerful.
charisma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No it factor.
And the best thing, I don't know too much about that particular race, but I mean, if he had a heart attack and his wife had to kind of sub in for him, at least the way the movie portrayed it, that was the best thing that could have happened for him.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Because she could talk to people.
She was great. Amy
Yeah.
Adams was amazing in this.
Absolutely.
She was arguably the best actress talent in this.
Yeah. Certainly, I think the most underrated.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody's going to say Christian Bale did a great job, which he did, but
But it's method
really,
acting though.
Yeah.
It's like it's character acting. So it's like it's not. I'm not saying it's not real acting, but it's like he's playing a character. So it's like
That actually exists.
Do you think he walked
Yeah.
around on set like when they weren't rolling, just still acting like
Yes.
Dick Cheney? He
Big
must,
fat
right?
Yes.
That's kind of his thing.
I do.
Probably.
Method actors are real.
Yeah.
It's they're wild. I've ran into like a couple of them, and it's hard to tell if they're really method actors or not. I mean, if they're just putting an acting, I just don't know. But like being around them is certainly like very interesting. And
Yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis had to be
Scary.
carried around when he did the My Left Foot movie. He refused to walk because he was playing like a quadriplegic.
Yeah.
Huh.
Something like that, yeah.
You know something though? Like they're being paid as much as they are. Whatever they have to do to portray the role
Hey, if it works for you, absolutely.
works for them. I agree fully with method acting because I think that's all you do for work. So we have to do to get in
go all out.
If it helps you
Take
stay
it
in
100%.
character, do it. I'm all for it. I don't care.
Yeah,
If
whatever
you're on
works
set,
for you.
You're a mess.
I bet Steve Carell is not a method actor. So I'd like to think whenever they cut, like, he's just still Dick Cheney and then Steve Carell's off goofing around.
He doesn't seem like a method.
But I don't know. I actually think he portrayed Rumsfeld pretty well.
It's
because
he did kind of have like
he
a
did.
high
It's just his
voice like
It's
that.
just his voice to me in general.
Yeah,
When
it
he
is.
was
I'm always
let
gonna.
go,
That's
instantly.
Michael
Yeah.
from The Office.
He looked super like Donald Rumsfeld.
He did.
Specifically in the scene where he was let go and he's on the phone.
Yeah.
I noticed. The rest of the movie is kind of like vague.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With that being said, go check out Vice if you want. I'm gonna end it out unless you guys.
Yeah,
have
that
anything else
works
to
for me.
say.
Nothing to plug. No.
Nothing to plug. Anything to plug?
Not really.
So, thank you for tuning in to Brutally Honest Reviews, only on the Brutally Honest Network. And then our music podcast, Streaming for Gold, is going to help you tune into the newest music that comes out on Spotify and streaming every week that we don't hear about because CDs don't exist anymore because we're ancient. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. Tune in next week, Brutally Honest Reviews. We'll have another review up for you, maybe even this week. I'm not sure. Sometimes we do doubles. But we'll see you next time. Peace.